Man, it was good, bro. Good to see you again. I know why we're here today. We're talking about how in the world did a handyman make $15,000 in a single month, right? So I'm gonna break it down for you. I'm gonna first show inside my CRM Jobber exactly the number, so you know I'm not lying. Okay, I do this for a living, y'all. Like I actually do this. So I'm gonna show you here right now the breakdown of the 15,000, and then I'm gonna essentially break down how I'm able to do 10K plus months pretty much every month of the year with not much money spent in ads. You know, as a handyman, I'm not a licensed anything, okay? And I'm gonna show you how I'm able to do that. So I'm gonna bring you guys over here to the laptop. Okay, so here we are. You can see here at the top of the screen that I entered the range right October 1st to October 23rd. I mean, it's not even the end of October yet. Like this is just I still got a whole week left in October, but this is just how much I've made so far. Um, so you can see here, right? So start at the bottom. Okay, actually start at the top. So October 20th. So these are the most recent payments. So you can see all over here. Now I only do card payments, right? It's another reason why I'm able to make so much money. I just make it so easy for my clients. You can only do this with a CRM, right? You can't do this if you're working, with checks and cash. But so yeah, so here's all the payments, right? We get down to the bottom. Okay, so you can see here. So report totals. Um, it says negative 25,000. So that is just what's left Jobber and went into my bank account. So negative 25,000. Okay. And now I'm going to jump back forward and you're going to see my expenses. So I do track my expenses as well in Jobber because I do have some subcontractors that I use on these projects. I'm not out there, swinging a hammer for $25,000 a month. I am leveraging other people's skills and time as well as my own in order to make this amount of money. So let's go over to the expenses and see how much I spent in expenses. Okay, so we're on the expense report, and you can see here that okay, so start date October 1st to October 23rd. And these numbers can't be made up because it's a CRM. I would have to manually do all this. Actually, no, the processing one I couldn't do unless I literally put my card info in. So that's how you know that it's legit because you actually see all the card processing information. Um, but yeah, you can see here. Okay, so you can see here all of my expenses. So my electrician, I had him a few times. Handyman labor, I sub out some of the work that I don't have the time to do to another home repair specialist that actually used to work for me when I had a handyman business. Um, so I sub out. Now he's on his own, but I sub a lot of work out to him. So he did a lot of that. And then my plumbing guy did a whole repipe on a house from polybutylene to PEX. So that was a pretty big project that helped this month's revenue. But nonetheless, that wasn't a ton more, maybe an extra 2,000 or 3,000 more in my pocket this month. Usually we're at about 10 to 12,000 anyway, even without big projects. Just small project guys, like just handyman projects. Any jobs that are projects that are typically $2,000 and less. Okay. So you can see here that my expense total was $9,616.40. All right. So now let's pull up the old calculator. I already did the math, right? So that's 25,408 minus 9,616. That's $15,000, $15,792 that I made this month. So let's get into this, right? Like, how am I doing this? Which voodoo doctor stuff am I doing to make this kind of money as generally just a home general repair specialist? I'm not a contractor. We don't do big projects, right? We did this once, we did one, but none of our projects has ever been more than $10,000, which, if if I'm doing all the work by myself, like that's taking me weeks and weeks, but I'm able to do them in a couple of days because I leverage other people's time, and that's one reason why I'm able to do this. Right? I don't only leverage my time and my skills; I leverage other people's time and skill sets as well. But let's really break down, how I run my business to a point where I can do $10,000 to $15,000 months pretty consistently. All right, and then stick around to the very end of the video where I'm going to explain the mindset shift that I experienced that allowed me to go from $5,000 $6,000 months at most, right, at absolute most, to now easily clearing over $10,000 a month and working a lot less than I did back then. All right, so step one, right? I charge with what my market can actually afford to pay me. So I have an hourly rate pricing formula that you can grab. There's a cheat sheet down below. But essentially, I know how to price correctly for my market. So I'm not going to be underpriced, nor am I going to be overpriced, right? Like my customers respect what I charge them. And it's tied back to essentially like the prices they're used to seeing already. When you go to the beach or when you go to like the beach or like an expensive part of town and gas is more expensive, but then you go back to the hood and like gas is like super cheap, right? They understand this, right? They price their services off of what the community around them can afford, what their customers can afford. Is they're not guessing, right? And I figured out the same thing for handyman businesses, that you price to what your customers can afford to pay, and you don't go under, you don't go over, right? You just stay right in the middle, and that's how you show off as a professional service when you're priced right. All right, so step number two is I leverage other people's time, right? So OPT is what I call it. So when my customers have a problem that I can't solve personally myself, right? Whether I'm out of time on my schedule, or it requires someone with skills and licenses more than what I have, I've learned to like leverage other people's time and skills in order to add more value to my customers, which then, in return adds more value back to me monetarily. So if I'm there to do, some general home repair work, but they also need some work done to, the HVAC, or they need some electrical work done to the panel, I'm just going to make a connection with an electrician or an HVAC guy to, add that into my quote, assume a margin on that, and at the very least, you break even, but you provided value to your customer, and you created a relationship with a licensed professional that moving forward, they're going to be even quicker to get on those jobs for you, and they can help you out with pricing. Let's say the first one you break even, they'll help you out next time, say, hey, this is going to cost this, so you know how much to charge moving forward. But it's not as scary as we think, outsourcing work to licensed contractors or just other people in general, even general home repairs. When my schedule is booked out 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks, really, when my schedule was booked out more than a couple days, I start tossing jobs to my guy that I use to do general handyman work, and I trust him. So I just throw him the work. I trust he's going to be there. He's going to do it correctly, and when he's done, he just shoots me the photos, and that's it, and we're done. So it's about being able to leverage other skilled professionals time, right? And that's the thing too, they have to be skilled professionals, because if they're not a professional, right, then they're going to cause you more headaches than they do cause you, like, take weight off your shoulders. So it has to be someone you trust, or at least someone with already a professional business set up to where it's in their best interest to do a great job. All right, so number three is I learned how to solve a big pain point for someone, right? So my business, we only do closing repairs for realtors, right? We do pre-listing stuff for homeowners, but primarily where we make the best and most money is closing repairs for realtors. So projects and jobs that are on a deadline that requires some sort of licensing, and they need like paperwork done in a certain type of way in order for the work to be in order for the work to be valid. And in South Carolina, we have different clearance work and stuff like that needs to be done. And I've learned to just partner with a contractor to be able to do the clearance work that requires a license to write clearance letters. And I partner with licensed professionals like HVAC, electrical, plumbing, to do that kind of work. And then we just come in, handle, the home repair stuff. That's what I do. And then I have a partner that also does some of that as well. And, that's how we're able to do all this. But essentially, like, positioning myself where like I found that there's a pain point. The one thing I learned is that just doing handyman work for random homeowners, we're not really solving a huge pain point for them, because at the end of the day, they don't need to get the work done. Like, they don't need to get handyman work done. Like, they don't need to like install, that cabinet. Like, they just want that. And because it's a want, they're gonna be a little more like hesitant on price. Like, they might not want to do it at that price, right? But when it comes to finding a pain point and someone needs you to get that repair done, it comes more so down to, okay, is this person someone I can trust to get it done right, and they don't care, and they care less about the price. Okay, step number 4 is I market really smart and not expensive at all. So, you know, I learned long ago that, you know, any company that's trying to sell you, trying to be a middleman for your marketing, is trying to just make money off of you. They're not really trying to help you. They just see you as dollar signs, okay? And I've spent thousands of dollars in the past, you know, working with these companies that we all know who they are, right? They're like the Angie's List, Thumbtacks, you know, the guy who's sending us a random email or text, who has some new AI thing that they can make us a lot of money with, right? Like I've spent money with these people, and every single time it's never worked. And the reason why is because their best interest is not your best interest. Okay, so you know, learning how to market your services effectively is the only way to get over that hump from breaking your back to make a couple thousand a month to, you know, honestly taking it easy to make a lot more a month, right? And in my business, I found the strategies that worked best to reach my ideal customer, and that's another part of it too, is knowing who your ideal customer is, right? Like it's about knowing who your customer is, and that takes some work. Like that's not easy, but it's about finding out who your customer is and how you can get your beautiful face and your company's beautiful name in front of them. Right. And then just to wind it down, it's about finding that pain point, like I said before. So finding the pain point in your niche is, you know, what's going to make or break any business, right? Like we got to look at our, like us running a handyman business as a business, right? It's not just like, you know, like we know how to fix things, so we're just going to start like making tons of money. Like that's not how it works. Like this is a business, and we have to, you know, we have to pick a lane. That's the hardest part about starting a handyman business, is picking a lane, because I had the fear of, you know, leaving out some people because like they needed work done, but you know they weren't necessarily in what I was trying to do. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and we have to pick a lane. And if we don't, we're going to be scattered everywhere because everyone wants our attention, right? There's going to be, you know, a realtor who wants us to do this repair, but then there's also going to be a property management company that wants us to knock out, you know, changeovers for these 8 units, right? But like those two services don't mesh, and they have different needs, and they have different pain points. And at the end of the day, you're just going to be stretched way too thin. So it's about picking a niche, you know, figuring out what the pain point is, and, you know, serving that one problem for that one customer. And once you learn how to do that, you will become 2, 3 times more valuable than you are today as a handyman. And guys, the last tip I'm going to leave you with in this video is that the real secret is you get paid for the value that you provide, not for the level of your skill. No one cares if you're the best handyman out there. No one cares if you can build a deck in 2 days as opposed to a company that can do it in 3. Like no one cares if you can cut perfectly straight angles, or you know you got all the best tools. Like nobody cares. Listen to me when I say that. Like nobody cares. What they care about is how much value you can bring them and how much pain you can relieve from them. People are selfish. They want what they want, right? They can care less about you. But if you can help them get what they want, they will essentially empty out their wallet to you and pay you what it costs, because and tell you thank you. That's the craziest part. This month I've gotten the biggest thank yous I've ever had in my life. And this was a good month for me. Not my best month, but it was a good month for me. And you know, like people were so happy that I was able to handle this project for them. So it's about the value you bring, okay, not the level of your skill. So if you're new to starting a handyman business, or you've been in business for a while and it's just having a hard time getting things going, check out my free resources down below. I probably got a few videos linked there as well, but I'm going to check that out. But it's been real, guys. I appreciate you sticking with me, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.